We begin tonight with politics, where we understand that the reinstated Deputy Governor of Edo State, Philip Shaibu, has left the People's Democratic Party and rejoined the All Progressives Congress. He made the statement in Benin City less than 24 hours after stating that he felt like an unofficial member of the APC. Shaibu, along with members of the Dan Orbih-led Legacy Group, expressed enthusiasm for their return to the APC, emphasizing a commitment to the party's values and support. Shaibu declared that it is a triumphant homecoming to the APC, where he is valued and welcomed. He added that they are ready to reclaim the state through the APC governorship candidate Monday Okpebolo and his running mate Dennis Idahosa. A federal high court recently nullified Shaibu's removal, citing it as politically motivated, and ordered his reinstatement with full security restoration. President Bola Tinubu has arrived in Accra, the Ghanaian capital, to participate in the 6th mid-year coordination meeting of the African Union, which begins on Sunday. Tinubu, who is the chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, departed Abuja on Saturday morning and arrived at the Kotoka International Airport, Accra. He was received at the airport by the Ghanaian Deputy Minister of Education, Professor Kingsley Nyako, Nigeria's Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tugar, and Charge d'Affaires Nigerian High Commission in Ghana, Ambassador Dayo Adeoye, among other officials. President Tinubu is expected to highlight the achievements and challenges encountered in West Africa since the last meeting in Nairobi, Kenya in July 2023. Away from that, let's now tell you that the Nigerian government plans to spend 3 trillion naira on the new minimum wage and pensions. Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Atiku Bagudu, revealed this during a meeting with the Senate Committee on Appropriations. President Bola Tinubu recently approved a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira for Nigerian workers and pledged to review the national minimum wage law every 3 years. Following this, the National Assembly passed an amendment to the 2024 budget, increasing it to 33.7 trillion naira. In a letter to the Senate, President Tinubu requested the withdrawal of 3.2 trillion naira from the Consolidated Revenue Fund for capital expenditure and an additional 3 trillion naira for recurrent expenditure. The Senate promptly moved the request through first and second readings and tasked its committees to review and report back within a week. The Inter-Party Advisory Council has opposed the Senate's proposed bill to establish the Local Government Independent Electoral Commission. Sponsored by Senator Sani Musa, the bill has been deemed by IPAC as unnecessary and likely to cause a duplication of functions and a waste of public funds. In a statement signed by National Publicity Secretary Chinyere Ogekalu, IPAC emphasized that the creation of another commission will not resolve the issues in conducting local government elections. It said it will result in redundant efforts and resource allocation. The proposed commission will still depend on INEC's voter register, IREV, beavers, ballot boxes, and other resources. IPAC suggested that the focus should be on enhancing INEC's capacity to conduct free, fair, and transparent elections at the local level, especially during a time when government resources are strained. To discuss this, we are joined by Vayela Kwaga. He's a senior researcher and policy analyst, Budget Foundation. Thank you for joining us, Vayela.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me.
Now, can you elaborate on IPAC's specific concerns regarding the duplication of functions and potential waste of public funds, with the proposed Local Government Independent Electoral Commission?
So, it's very worrying that the federal government through the National Assembly has seen now as an opportune time to extend their reach. And I think IPAC speaks for a large number of Nigerians in expressing its concern and worry that the federal government is doing this now when it is also at the same time trying to implement the Oronsoye report. And I mean, that is another kettle of fish. But the IPAC's grouse is that the constitution of this commission is a duplication of efforts. And when you think about it, when you read the news stories that have come out, speaking about the proposed functions of that commission, you do see basically a reproduction of the functions of INEC, from recruiting officers to enlightening Nigerians to monitoring and supervision of the process. And the guidelines, or the proposed guidelines as they are, will still clash with the functions of INEC, because there is a role of INEC that gives it supervisory authority over all elections, in the country, and that's a constitutional provision. So yes, this law is going to create a new commission, but it cannot do that without amending the Constitution. And amending the Constitution requires a very lengthy process.
All right, now, in addition to the functions clashing with INEC, now, according to IPAC, the proposed commission would still rely on INEC's resources. Now, could you, by any chance, explain how this duplication might occur, and also the specific inefficiencies that it might create?
So we're looking at this new commission basically using the resources, the database of INEC. And it's interesting because one thing that really occurred to me that struck me is, what would happen to persons who have not voted and want to register? Would they have to register as, voters under the local government and then still register as voters for gubernatorial and presidential? I mean, that would create some form of logistical challenge for INEC, or I'm so sorry, it would create a logistical challenge for intending voters or intending registrants, because would they have to vote or register to vote in two different places? And, speaking of the inefficiencies, if the new commission is going to use the resources of INEC as we know it, why not just expand the capacity of the existing INEC, as opposed to creating a totally new commission? Because this would mean the acquisition of offices. This would mean the creation of a commission with budget lines for recurrent, for overhead, for capital expenditure, and everything that entails. For the conduct of the 2023 election, INEC claims it spent over 300 billion naira. And we are talking about elections in 768 local governments, the rest are area councils. What would that entail in terms of budgeting for a government that has already gone beyond 30 trillion, with the recent supplementary 2024 budget? The budget as we know it, the budget size, adding this 6 trillion to the existing 28, is getting to around 34 trillion. And it is mind-boggling that the government still wants to, acquire things that would make it spend more. It's really, really baffling, and it's a serious cause for concern, but it's good that IPAC has spoken up.
All right, Viola, you did, give us a few tips on how INEC could actually strengthen their capacity in order to be able to conduct local government elections, free and fair. But then, 34 trillion naira is quite a lot. Now, can you tell us what might be the potential financial implications of creating a separate local government independent electoral commission compared to strengthening INEC's capabilities?
I mean, any average Nigerian's guess is as good as mine. This would mean the creation of a completely new set of line items for this commission. We're talking about directors, we're talking about, junior level staff, mid-level staff, we're talking about the commissioner himself, we're talking about his assistants, technical assistants, we're talking about, support staff. And this is just the personnel. This is not the recurrent. So the offices, the cars, and other computers, etc., travels, logistics, and not to talk of, key capital spendings that the commission would require. And it's actually frightening when you think about it, because this is the same government that is literally going around borrowing and borrowing. I mean, the NNPC is even borrowing. And it stands to reason why the federal government would think of doing this now. I suppose it's thinking about the fact that people are worried that governors have had undue control over the state gubernatorial process. And you could argue that state governors would truncate this process if it was left in their hands. But the reverse seems to be an overreach by an existing party interest in government. I'd like to remind Nigerians that there have been complaints as recent as 2023 that some of the resident electoral commissioners are actually card-carrying members of the APC. This did not just happen under Tinubu, it also happened under Buhari. Out of the 19 recs, I think 5 were identified as being politically exposed persons, in quotes. And it's worrying because there's a high likelihood, looking at the proposed bill itself, the nomination of the chairman of the commission will be done by the president. And there would be, some confirmation by the National Assembly. And this is a problem because there's a likelihood that it would just be filled with card-carrying members of the existing party. And I'd also like to remind Nigerians that Professor Jega, in a lecture he made, I think last year, said that power of the president to appoint should actually be reviewed because it gives too much power to the president. And we have seen that this power can be abused.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Avayela, for taking time out to speak to us on this.
Thank you so much for having me.
With that, we'll take a break, and when we come back, the news continues. Stay. To education matters now, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has emphasized the careful selection of experienced educationalists for 2 key school boards free from political influence. He asserted the building that building a prosperous and educationally advanced Rivers State requires a solid foundation in education. Governor Fubara made these comments while inaugurating the chairman and members of the Rivers State Senior Secondary Schools Board and the State Universal Basic Education Board at the Government House in Port Harcourt. He highlighted the importance of these boards in his mission to transform the state's education system and effectively nurture Rivers' children. Fubara reaffirmed that his administration's priorities for 2025 are education, health, and agriculture. These sectors will receive focused attention through strategic policy implementation and budgetary allocation to meet the administration's goals.
When it comes to the issue of education, you know how passionate that I am. I've told you that my concern next year is education, health, and agriculture. So this board today is the beginning of our 2025 program for the good people of Rivers State. And I believe strongly that we're going to achieve it together as one people who believe in a better Rivers State.
"58 new set of Nigerian women and children have been rescued from human traffickers in Ghana, bringing the total number of rescued Nigerians in Accra in the last 3 months to 105. The chairman, NIDO Board of Trustees in Ghana, Chief Callistus Eloziewa, disclosed this to the chairman, CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Arewa, when she visited the trafficked victims. According to a statement by the spokesperson of NIDCOM, Abdurrahman Balogun, 47 of those rescued are from Kano, 5 from Katsina, 2 from Jigawa, and 4 from Kaduna. He said 11 more girls earlier rescued have been repatriated back to Nigeria. The statement added that some of the suspected agents have been arrested and handed over to security agencies and NAPTIP for necessary profiling and prosecutions. The Presidential CNG Initiative, PICNG, which is a component of the palliative intervention of the President Bola Tinubu administration, has launched 1 million free conversion kits for vehicle owners who wish to convert from petrol vehicles to compressed natural gas. The presidential initiative held its first mass conversion event in Lagos for an onward distribution across the length and breadth of the country, aimed at providing economic relief to the masses following the fuel subsidy removal policy of the federal government. News Central's Igbalani Omoni completes the report.
Nigeria suffers from high levels of air pollution, especially in major cities like Lagos, according to the World Health Organization. Lagos has one of the highest air pollution levels in the world, with particulate matter concentrations 4 times higher than recommended levels. Converting vehicles to compressed natural gas, CNG, can help reduce air pollution and lower emissions. This CNG mobilization program at a major park in one of Lagos' largest districts aims to sensitize transport stakeholders on the need to convert their vehicles to run on CNG.
We are acting on what the Mr. President has said, to roll out and to roll out fast. So we are here today to put to action our talk in the last 6 months. So CNG is cheaper, is cleaner, is safer, and is more reliable. 40% less tailpipe emission, 90% less pollutant put in the air. So definitely there's an advantage to using CNG for the environment. We are already flaring gas. So what we are saying is that instead of flaring gas, we should turn that gas to use of our economy and make sure that we drive our economy with gas, which is cleaner.
At this pack, 150 beneficiaries will have their vehicles retrofitted to operate using CNG at no cost.
We have provided places for you where the conversion will be done. One of them is going to be done right here. We have provided for you where you will buy the CNG gases. You will be able to buy at 200 to 250 naira.
ẹlòmíì wà tó yẹ pé ó gba pressure ó fi ra mọ́tò ẹ ti ọ̀rá sàn àwa kàn mójútó páàkì yẹn ni bó dẹ̀ believe pé ẹni tó gba pressure tó fi ra mọ́tò òun náà ní àǹfààní láti jẹ́nu benefit kan tí ó ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí kò ń ṣe all member national union nìkan.
The rationale is that in the long run, vehicle owners will benefit from the lower cost of CNG relative to petrol, and in turn address the high cost of petrol, which has reached record levels in recent months.
By the time the price will get this CNG working, so automatically the cost of buying fuel will come down, and it will affect the cost price of transportation across the country. And if the price of transportation come down, it will affect all other sectors.
The goal is to convert as many commercial and private vehicles as possible to cleaner burning CNG to improve air quality and reduce Nigeria's fuel import bill, among others. In Lagos for News Central, Igbalani Omoni.
Meanwhile, users of compressed natural gas-powered vehicles have called on citizens to embrace the technology, especially those in the commercial transportation business, saying it offers a better cost-saving option. They also say there is no cause for alarm, especially in the light of safety concerns, saying CNG is safe for use and not as combustible as many things. In this special report, our Abuja Bureau Chief X-rays the benefits of CNG use from existing users.
The removal of fuel subsidy in Nigeria, the recurring fuel scarcity, and the fluctuating price of petrol has raised questions about the sustainability of alternate fuel sources. While government has encouraged citizens to switch to the use of compressed natural gas, many are asking about the benefits of the technology. A visit to a refueling station, where we spoke to some car owners who have already embraced the use of CNG, answers questions about the economic benefits.
Compared to PMS, this is much more economical because this will save me at least 85% of expenses. At least 85% of, let's say I'm buying fuel for 20,000 naira, I can get gas for 2,000 naira to cover the same number of kilometers.
I went to Anambra, so I took from here to Ajaokuta, refueled from Ajaokuta and moved to Enugu. Nsukka actually took me to Nsukka. So from Abuja to Nsukka, I spent barely 7,000 naira. Then from Nsukka, I used fuel. If I was supposed to do that with ordinary fuel, I think I'll be using fuel tank and probably more.
Imagine when you don't have money. There's no how. If you don't have money, you can still buy CNG. You can still buy CNG and put on your car instead of fuel, because 10,000 naira fuel cannot move your car. But when you don't have money at all, you can afford at least 3,500. You can have it in your pocket to fuel your car and then move on with your business.
What I use weekly before now, using fuel, now I don't even use half of it. Half I don't use.
While many have expressed fears about the safety of its use, especially as it is believed that fuel gas is highly combustible, experts say there is no cause for alarm in the light of safety concerns.
CNG is very, very safe as compared to petrol. First of all, the ignition temperature of CNG is about 600 degrees centigrade as compared to petrol, which is about 300. It therefore means that for ignition to occur, the temperature has to rise up to 600. That is one aspect of its safety. And secondly, CNG is lighter than air. Okay, it's like helium. Once it finds its way into the atmosphere, it's easily dispersed off, taking out that fuel component of combustion.
Some other users say there exist many other benefits.
Also good for your engine, actually. I don't service as frequently as I service with fuel because with the gas, the engine doesn't work as much as when you use fuel because it just uses it directly instead of converting and burning. So for the gas, it's very good for your engine. If you use a semi-synthetic or synthetic oil, it takes you a longer process before you can change your oil. So it's very healthy for your engine.
This does not emit anything. It's eco-friendly. So even you have your nose at my nozzle there, it's at the exhaust there, you don't smell anything. It's eco-friendly for the environment and everything. It's eco-friendly.
You know, so many people believe the risk is high, but the fuel itself is risky. So the cylinder is safe, everything is safe. To me, it's perfect.
The experience is wonderful. The sound of the car is properly maintained, clean energy, and it has improved. I've improved my pocket.
Many of the users say it is wise to embrace CNG-powered vehicles, especially for those in the commercial transportation business.
With the CNG, you work less. You don't work longer hours before you make your money. You don't have to work too much to make more profit. With little work, you can make more profit.
It baffles me sometimes when I come to the gas station. I even saw some all these green and red vehicles that run taxi in town. Some of them use CNG. If those ones have the knowledge to do the CNG conversion, so why not Nigeria should embrace on CNG conversion?
The benefit is that your family will have something. Instead of spending all your money on petrol, you have something left. That's the benefit.
Nigeria's federal government has promised to support the conversion from petrol to CNG-powered cars. It is hoped that citizens can take advantage of this opportunity. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Communities in the Lake Chad Basin region have expressed their gratitude to the multinational Joint Task Force and its ongoing operation Lake Sanity II for bringing stability and security in their areas. News Central's Umari Kirawa, who toured the Darak community on the fringes of Lake Chad in the Republic of Cameroon, reports.
Remnants of terrorists marauding Lake Chad continue to surrender amidst both repressive and diplomatic measures. Between July 10 and 17, 263 terrorists and their families surrendered, while 9 terrorists were neutralized and arms were recovered by the multinational Joint Task Force. This wave of surrenders has rejuvenated economic activities in the region.
In dare ai ba mu samun bacci ba mu da kwanciyar hankali yanzu zuwan da sun kai garin nan gaskiya sun taimaka mana sosai saboda za mu yi kwanta mu yi kwana hankalin mu kwance ba mu da wani damuwan komi.
With the MNJTF's ongoing efforts to reclaim territories in the Lake Chad Basin, fishing activities have resumed in areas previously threatened by insurgent groups. Local fishermen who had been displaced or restricted due to security concerns are now returning to their livelihood with renewed hope and enthusiasm.
Shine nan cikin tafkin shari ne muke kama kifi. A gaskiya yanzu bakin dai zuwan su gaskiya alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah kuma muna fata Allah ya kara musu karfin gwiwa don mu samu mu fara samun walwala kamar yadda yanzu muka samu.
Je les remercie beaucoup vraiment de tout ce qu'ils sont en train de faire pour nos populations. La population de Darak, depuis un certain moment, dort tranquillement sur les lauriers.
Nous, ils ont mené l'opération ici à Darak et tout le monde a été satisfait puisqu'ils ont consulté les gens gratuitement. Ils les ont donné les médicaments gratuitement. Et la population est satisfaite de ce sens.
Despite facing many challenges, the MNJTF's Operation Lake Sanity 2 has not only boosted security, but also revitalized economic activities, providing a crucial lifeline to communities heavily reliant on fishing.
The ongoing clearance efforts in the Lake Chart underscores the commitment of the multinational joint task force in stabilizing the region and opening up pathways for sustainable peace and development. In Darak, southern part of Lake Chart, Umaru Kirawa reporting for News Central.
Thank you, Umaru, for that report. Now, traders in Zarumaganda area of Jos, the Plateau State capital, north-central Nigeria, have called on government to provide them with a conducive market where they can have their transactions without breaching the rules of the state. The Plateau State Executive Order 003 came into enforcement a few months ago after traders refused to relocate to where government had made provision for them. The Jos Metropolitan Development Board had reiterated that the state will stop at nothing to ensure standards are adhered to. News Central's Chizoba Nyongwe tells us more.
We are just roaming up and down as if we are not Nigerians. It is unfair. It is not good. I am not even happy.
I have cold from this rain. For 3 days now consecutively, this rain has been beating me. We don't go anywhere because you can't leave your goods and run to anywhere. We only just bring this umbrella down and sit here.
That's the pain of most traders on Zamaganda area of Jos, whom government has forced out of their shops. According to the state, the structures where these traders occupy are illegal and do not conform with the building codes of the state, and so their shops were demolished.
School fees increase, everything, hardship, the left, right corner. Where are we going to start?
It's affecting us very well. Look at the rain, look at the sun. We just deal with them. Sometimes you go home and the children it's not easy.
The situation is critical. This is a rainy season. We find it very difficult. When it's raining, we have to leave this place. We go and find for a place we stay before, later we will come back again.
We come here with the intention that maybe they are on their way, they'll come and chase us. Sometimes most of our goods get thrown away while we are running. They turn into ruins. We can't even sell them because they are already in the gutter.
It's true. They have packed some. Once you keep your lot here, if they pick it, you will not see it again. When you go to GMDB, they say you should go there, and at the end of the day, you will not see anything.
Not deliberately flouting government's order, but how to fend for their livelihood is the pain in their neck. Noting the economic meltdown and how most of these traders feed from hand to mouth, they ask for government intervention.
Things are not normal. We suffer a lot. At least for us to pay transport to a very far distance to buy foodstuff is very bad. It will be very, very unfair. Please, I beg you in the name of God, if we shall allow the market to be here for us.
They should pity us, have mercy on us. Not that they should be sending their boys to come and chase us away. At least for the meantime, till when they provide a place where we can move to. We're not saying that we are not fighting the government, but we want them to look into our case.
See the rain and sun, and some of us like us, I'm not used to be like this. I lost my job. That is why I'm here under the sun now. So please, let government help us to provide need unto us. Please.
if there's something that can be done to help us arrange this situation of running here and there, running helter-skelter, we would really appreciate it.
It's actually drizzling now, and that is to say that any moment it will rain. And if it does rain, nobody knows what the fate of these traders would be. However, what they are asking for is that government should look into their plight and see how they help them in this hardship to make their lives more meaningful. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyowe.
Thank you, Chizoba. Now, the Nigerian Navy has commenced a 2-day shooting range exercise following the directive of the Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, to enhance the protection of national assets across the country. News Central's Austin Azu completes the report.
The Nigerian Navy Chief Delta, along with other units of the Nigerian Navy stationed in Warri, Delta State, conducted a shooting range exercise to enhance their combat readiness. The proficiency in shooting and physical fitness displayed by the officers and personnel of the Nigerian Navy underscored their high level of preparedness in addressing both internal and external threats within their operational areas. The commanding officer of NNS Delta, Commodore Abba Musim, represented by the Executive Officer Navy Captain Solomon Paul, spoke about the biannual exercise.
The officers and the men, I will advise us to take this exercise very seriously, with utmost dedication, because this will enhance our successes in the performance of our constitutional role.
The commander advised the officers and men of the various units in Warri on the importance of maintaining physical fitness at all times. In Delta, for News Central, Austin Azu.
The news continues in East Africa, where a fire broke out in an apartment block in Port Sudan, killing 9 people. Emergency services rescued several people who had been trapped on the ground floor of the building when an electric short circuit triggered the blaze. The city has become a base for the Sudanese army amid ongoing clashes with rival paramilitaries. Emergency services rescued several people trapped on the ground floor after an electrical short circuit ignited the blaze. 4 survivors remain in stable condition in the hospital. Sudan has been engulfed in conflict since April 2023. According to the United Nations, the fighting between the regular army, led by Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the paramilitary rapid support forces, headed by his former deputy, Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, has resulted in tens of thousands of deaths and displaced over 10 million people. Uganda has again rejected UN allegations that it is backing M23 rebels in neighboring DR Congo after Kinshasa summoned the Ugandan chargé d'affaires over the issue. Now, since late 2021, the M23 has seized large tracts of territory in North Kivu province, with a recent report commissioned by the UN Security Council alleging active support for the rebels by Ugandan army and military intelligence officials. On Friday, Uganda's chargé d'affaires Matata Twaha Magara denied his country was helping the group after he was summoned for talks with Congolese Deputy Foreign Minister Gracia Yamba Kazadi. The ADF, originally made up of mainly Muslim Ugandan rebels, has established a presence over the past 3 decades in eastern DRC, killing thousands of civilians. Let's head to North Africa, where Moroccan opposition figure and former minister Mohamed Zayan has been sentenced to 5 years in prison while serving a 3-year term in another case. The former Rabat Bar Association president was convicted on charges of embezzlement and squandering of public funds. The charges related to funds the Moroccan Liberal Party, of which Zayan was the founder-in-chief, received in a 2015 electoral campaign. Zayan, who was human rights minister between 1995 and 1996, has been in detention since November 2022 after being sentenced to 3 years on appeal. The opposition figure had become known in recent years for statements criticizing the authorities in Morocco, particularly the intelligence services. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has warned that Israel will defend itself by all means hours after striking the Houthi-controlled Hodeidah port in Yemen in retaliation for a deadly drone attack on Tel Aviv.
ולסיום, יש לי מסר לאויבי ישראל. אל תטעו בנו. נגן על עצמנו בכל דרך ובכל חזית. כל מי שיפגע בנו ישלם מחיר כבד מאוד על תוקפנותו.
Up next is business news.
The Nigerian government has unveiled a comprehensive strategy to lead Africa's digital trade revolution within the framework of the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. The strategy is part of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Tinubu's administration to harness trade as a catalyst for economic growth and continental cohesion in line with AFCFTA objectives. To this effect, Vice President Kashim Shettima said Nigeria is in a unique position to spearhead the continent's technological transformation. He made the observation while delivering the keynote address during a stakeholders summit with the theme Digital Trade in Africa, the Renewed Hope Strategy, held at the banquet hall of the Presidential Villa in Abuja. African energy ministers have underscored the importance of increased collaboration on the continent's energy transition, according to a panel discussion held at the Continental Energy Investment Forum 2024 in Cape Town, South Africa. Representatives from Nigeria, Zambia, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and Sierra Leone, who shared their countries' unique approaches to balancing energy security with environmental sustainability, emphasized the long-term nature of energy transitions and the need for planning that transcends political cycles. The minister's call for collaboration reflects a recognition of the shared challenges and opportunities facing African nations in their energy journeys. By working together, they believe they can leverage resources, share best practices, and create a more attractive environment for investment in clean energy solutions. The International Monetary Fund's Zambian representative, Eric Lotier, has expressed concerns about Zambia's de-dollarization proposals. According to Lotier, these measures could inadvertently undermine efforts to contain inflation. He argues that successful de-dollarization requires an economic environment characterized by low and stable inflation rates, as well as limited external pressures, conditions that Zambia currently lacks. The IMF representative's remarks were made shortly after the Bank of Zambia announced proposals that promote local currency use. Notably, the central bank's guidelines propose severe penalties, including up to 10 years in jail for Zambian businesses that demand US dollars for local transactions. And that's all on business news. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.
Up next, sports.
In the world of sports, head coach of NPFL champions Rangers International's Fidelis Ilechukwu has emphasized that Nigerians often lack patience with coaches appointed to lead the Super Eagles. Ilechukwu cited the recent criticism faced by former coach Finidi George, which ultimately resulted in his resignation, as a clear example. The NPFL title-winning coach made these remarks during an exclusive interview with New Central Television on Friday, while also stressing the importance of allowing national team coaches a period of 2 to 3 years to develop and solidify a competitive squad for the country.
But if you appoint a coach that don't know the value of Nigerian League, the coach will not bring in NPFL players for national team. Like what happened to Finidi George was so painful. I was shocked when I saw Finidi resign in Super Eagles, because if you look at already He have already invited some players from MPFL. That shows that he wants to give chance to them. But the problem I feel and I have with Nigerians is that we are not patient. We are not patient. Bring a coach, you will give a time to do structuring. You understand me? If you don't go World Cup, you're not going to die. I have to tell people this. Bring a coach and give him 3 years contract in Super Eagles. Tell the coach from now to 3 years time, he wants to build a team, a strong team, both local and international players. We want to make sure that we'll have players who are capable to lead us after 2-3 years. But we Nigerians want it immediately, and football doesn't work that way.
The first IBA Champions Night on the African continent will take place on the 17th of August in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. The announcement was made at a press conference with the authorities of the country, members of the Africa Boxing Confederation and the IBA. The news was announced by IBA Secretary General and CEO Chris Roberts Obe alongside AFBC President Mr. Eyasu Wasin, AFBC Deputy Secretary General Mr. Yahon Brehane, and Ethiopia's Minister of Culture and Sports Mrs. Sawit Sanka Shashashigo. Ethiopia is a global athletics powerhouse with some of the best athletes in history. Its ambitious and open politics are giving an exceptional boost to other sports, as boxing is one of the disciplines that is set to take off. World champion Femke Bol set a new meet record as she cruised to victory in the women's 400 hurdles at Saturday's Diamond League in London. In the final warm-up for the Paris Olympics, Bol clocked 51.30 seconds to beat by 0.15 seconds the previous best she had set at the London Stadium last year. Bol, who finished third in the COVID-delayed Tokyo Olympics when world record holder Sydney McLaughlin-Leveron took gold, became just the second woman to break the 51-second barrier in the grilling event last weekend. The Dutch athlete ran a time of 50.95 seconds in Switzerland last Sunday to smash her own European record of 51.45. In London, American Shamia Little finished second in a season's best of 52.78 seconds, with Jamaican Rochelle Clayton rounding out the podium. And that's it in the world of sports.
And that's all at this hour. But before we go, here's another look at some of our top stories. You heard that President Bola Tinubu arrives Ghana for African Union mid-year meeting. You also heard that reinstated Edo State Deputy Governor Shaibu returns to APC. Finally, we told you that former Moroccan Minister Zayan bags 5 years jail term. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen. Usman.